Hello, everybody. I believe we are live, and I'm going to give just a couple seconds to let people pop in before we officially kick this off. We'll get rolling here in just a brief moment. All right, I know this is being recorded, so if anyone is jumping on late, you'll have access to all of this as we go. Welcome to the Spring Product Innovations webinar. We like to do these here at Reputation every quarter to make sure that we allow our customers to have access to at least the things that we're most excited about that we're building and that are being released in the platform, so that you can start to use them, give us feedback on them, and all of that kind of thing. So there's two of us who are running this. Timi Chu, my counterpart, she's our Director of Product Management, and then I'm Phil Rapisardo. I lead up our product marketing team. A couple quick housekeeping things before we jump into it. Thing number one, this shouldn't matter, but I'll let everybody know, this is a brand new webinar software that we're using for this. So when I screw something up, inevitably, I apologize, but I think I've got a good feel for all the inner workings of.
You got this, Phil.
A couple quick things. You'll see a Q&A tab on the right-hand side of your screen. If you have questions for us, please go in and ask them. The way Timi and I like to do these is ideally we're looking at those actively and sort of engaging with questions as we go along. It's not a let us talk to you for 30 minutes and then go do all of the questions right at the end. We'll try to react to what's coming through as we go. We do have a few polls that we are going to launch throughout the presentation. We always appreciate customer engagement on those polls. A lot of times it's related to, not just like what did you find most interesting, but what are you seeing as most valuable from the types of things that we're doing. This lets us wrap our head around your point of view, and ultimately, a lot of times it helps drive decisions that we make down the line. Mm-hmm. And then lastly, you'll see a big Get Demo button on your screen. If at any point you're like, you know what, I want to learn a little bit more about that, clicking that Get Demo button, we'll track who clicks that, and then we'll make sure we get in touch with you and we can dig into whatever specific area that you're looking to dive into. Timi, anything that I missed? Anything you want to say before we jump in?
No, we're so excited for all of you to join us today. Thank you so much for taking the time. And Phil, yeah, I think we're ready to get going.
So these are the 5 different topics we're going to be running through today. And Timi and I did this 1 quarter ago, but for those of you that didn't see our previous webinar, the way we like to do these is we hit you with kind of the highlight of what the feature is or what the thing is that we built. And then when applicable, we want to show you in the platform exactly how that thing works and make sure that you know, especially if you're someone who's a user in the platform who's in it day to day, how to impact all the various things that we're showing you. So we'll run through these one by one. Once again, please ask questions as we go, and looking forward to hitting you with the highlights. So I'm going to start. We mentioned last webinar that we are making a pretty large investment in our relationship with Apple, specifically Apple Maps. And that started about a quarter ago with some new capabilities around how we publish listings to Apple Maps, how we're able to track the accuracy of those listings on Apple Maps. And there's 2 relatively quick things that I wanted to give you an update on related to Apple. There are 2 additional sort of data sets that we're now able to publish. The first thing is Apple is now allowing for us to publish business attributes. Anyone who's familiar with this kind of idea, Google does this already as well, where basically you can say, you see some examples there. It's wheelchair accessible. There's Wi-Fi at my location. They give you basically a big list of different attributes that you can associate with your listing. Apple is launching a very similar thing. And then secondly, there are action links. And if you think about this, depending on what type of business you have, you might have an appointment scheduling link or a service scheduling link or an online ordering link. Depending on your business, there are different actions that you might want to have your customer, your end customer, take in order to do business with you. And this is another thing that Google's had for a little bit, and now Apple is adding to kind of their data set, where we can try to convert that customer directly in that one click, instead of, historically they'd basically go to your website and then they'd have to click on whatever that action was that you wanted them to take.
Yeah, Phil, these are so cool. And I remember when these came out, something that came to mind was, as a dealership manager, I think one way that would be really cool to use these is to use these action links for making a reservation, or scheduling an appointment so that you can come in and get a test drive or a service. Can you speak to some of the ways that automotive dealerships or property managers have been able to leverage these action links?
Yeah, I'm actually, so let's see if I can work this software. I'm going to stop sharing the
Oh, you're gonna share.
slide.
Okay.
I'm going to show you a quick, let's share. Ooh, look, see, I told you guys I wouldn't be able to do this. This is perfect. There we go. There's my share screen. What we're going to do is we're going to share a quick view into the platform so that you can get a feel for how this works. So, I mean, the short answer is, whenever we're talking about publishing data on sites like Google or Apple, there's always kind of a structure that those end sites require that you send that information to. And so the two things I just mentioned, one are action links, and you can kind of see here, there's reservation links, order links. Google has COVID links as an example.
Ooh, yeah, like the virtual health ones, right? For making an appointment.
Exactly.
That's cool.
So you'll see the different options when you're looking in here. And literally, when you add the URL, that's where the customer will go when they click on that link and where you want to send them to. So all you really want to think about is what am I trying to get that customer to do? And then if there's an appropriate link you can add, it's just going to help you convert that customer a little more easily in that environment.
Got it. Okay. And I think you gave some great examples there of, the test drives, scheduling it at like an appointment visit, or an apartment visit so that you can take a tour. Like virtual health has been huge, especially during COVID. So making those virtual health visits. Those are all great examples, I think.
Yeah, 100%. And what we always advise is continue to ask us if there's ever any questions related to how should I be using this? What should we be doing? But the data itself, you could see it when you're looking at your location's data. These are places you can now go in and add information. And then, again, with the end goal of just making it easier for your customers to do business with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think to that point, for all of our customers who are currently joining us, feel free to bring this up to your customer success manager and start brainstorming ways that you can leverage these action links. Because I think there are quite a few ways to get creative with what kinds of links you can input into these fields.
Awesome. So Timi, I think we're going to transition over to a couple of your topics here.
Yes, we are. Yeah. So this quarter, something that we worked on in the social suite was creating internal tags for social posts. And so the way that this works is it allows you to categorize your social posts as you are putting together your content creation strategy. And I'm actually going to show you how that works. It basically helps you categorize your posts so that you can understand what type of content is performing best. And it is going to ask me to allow permission. Here we go. And so within the reputation calendar, which it is not able to show you at the moment. So no problem. So within the reputation social calendar, one area that you're able to see now is that you can add a tag onto all of the posts that you are creating. So I believe I have a screenshot of it here, even though we're not able to see it live. So when you're creating that post, you can feel free to add some tags. And some of the ways that I've seen our customers use this is, one, definitely by category. So I was going to show you an example where an apartment company was creating some move-in content. So just tips on, how to make sure your move is smooth, your change of address. Whereas they also were creating some other posts on advertising units or advertising their pet policy. So one idea is that you can create tags that help you bucket each of those types of posts together. So add a tag for move-in and bucket all of your move-in content together, add a tag for your pet policy, add a tag for maybe your apartment tours and units that are up for sale. And in that way, when you're pulling your metrics, you're actually able to go and filter by these tags or group by these tags so that you can compare whether your move-in content or whether your pet policy content resonates more with your audience. So for us, this was one of the most asked for functionalities, Phil, within our customer feedback platform. So we use a platform called User Voice. You guys are all welcome to go and visit it if you want to go and check out what ideas other customers have been suggesting for us. Our product managers, including myself, we often throw ideas onto there just to see if there's any interest, and we often reach out to you directly just to get a better sense as to how to build something out. And that's exactly what happened with this internal tags feature, where we needed to understand what exactly you were looking for. And this is ultimately where we landed. So very exciting to see, this very popular asked for feature actually making it out into production.
And Timi, just to be clear, can you give me an example of something I might be able to get insight into now that this is live versus just the historical way we've reported on social content?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So going back to the property management example where we had some move-in content versus some pet policy content. Previously, we were able to help you understand how your posts were doing across sources. So how your Facebook posts were performing compared to your Instagram posts, compared to your Twitter posts. That's still there. Similarly, we are still able to provide you metrics on how your video content is performing versus your photo-only content. What's new here is that you're now able to categorize those posts on your own. So that upfront, whether you are creating the post or your location managers are creating their posts on their own, they can apply these tags so that you can roll that all up and say, overall, my move-in content is resonating a lot more with my audience compared to my pet policy content. So therefore, if I want to continue building that following, maybe I should focus more on creating that move-in content. So a lot of it is helping you just categorize your posts together so that you're better able to access them. But also on the insight side, Phil, just as you mentioned, I think that's really where the benefit is going to stand.
And that makes sense, right? I mean, I think one thing we're trying to do as a platform across all of our solutions more often is not just be a place where you do something and then we report on it, but be a place where you can actually get an insight and then have it inform what you should do next. And I think this in its own way is a great example of saying, well, let's just not keep publishing content over and over and over again. Let's figure out how we want to group these things together and then, see what's working, what's not working.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, really just helping you measure the success of your social publishing strategy. So speaking of measuring, the next feature that I wanted to cover was around the messaging offering. So this is due dates for our inbox conversations. We talked a bit about inbox the last time Phil and I were on here, but for those of you who have not heard of what exactly the inbox is, it is the place where all of your private messages, your social media posts and comments, and soon your reviews and your surveys will all come into, so that your location managers, which is who we built this product for, can come into a single inbox, have all of the matters on customer feedback that they need to resolve, and just simply go down the list and respond to everything in between their showing appointments, in between their tours that they need to give, really in between doing their day job. And so this functionality that we introduced here was due dates for inbox conversations. And our goal here is to help you prioritize what your location managers need to respond to first based on urgency. So let me give you an example. If somebody were to message you on Google Business Messaging from your Google Business profile, and they're asking whether or not you provide a particular service, and chances are they're looking to make an appointment afterwards. This person's message is quite urgent because they're currently facing an issue and they need to make an appointment so that they can come in and get it resolved. In contrast, if somebody were to comment on your social media post and say, like, yay, I really enjoy this pet policy, right? Then that's probably not quite as urgent for you to respond to. So what we help you do is prioritize those private messages over those social media post comments. And we also help you adhere to SLAs that are set forth by Google and Facebook themselves. So an example of that is Google and Facebook recommend that you respond to all of your incoming private messages within 5 to 10 minutes. Phil and I have been talking with you for 15 minutes so far. So already you might have already missed that SLA if somebody messaged you at the beginning of this webinar. So that's how quick these SLAs and timeframes go. So that's where due dates really come into play, where you can configure those due dates ahead of time and say your private messages are more urgent or your negative private messages are even more urgent, right? And then automatically remind your team and pop those to the top of your inbox so that your team knows that those are the most urgent things that they need to take care of.
Timi, one question that just in my experience, when you talk to our customers around like the idea of inbox, right? Centralize all your customer conversations in one place. They're okay, they get it, they understand. But then every business has kind of a different team of people that are their job is to manage these conversations. So like, let's just say, for example, I have a 20-person contact center and I'm saying I want these 20 people to be responsible for all these conversations. Do you have any guidance on setting up users in our platform, like what we should be thinking about when we're doing that sort of setup?
Yeah, absolutely. So the beauty of the reputation platform is that it's role-based. So if you have certain users who specialize in responding to private messages, such as your customer service center, or you have a certain social media community management team, right? And similarly, maybe you have a review responding team, somebody who deals directly with the customer experience. You can actually set those users up within the platform so that they only see the types of conversations that you want them to see and nothing more. Another way that our customers set up their users is around locations. So say you have a dealership manager, you might be one yourself, and you really only care about your world, right? Your single dealership, you want to make sure that your online presence is managed well. Well, you can be set up so that you only are able to see what's coming in for your dealership and you can ignore the rest of the locations and the world around you so that they don't distract you from, being able to manage your own. One other thing, Phil, that I wanted to bring up here was this quarter, we started a beta program. So for those of you who don't know, some of the new functionality that is coming up typically goes through a beta program process that you're welcome to participate in. In this quarter, we started beta program for automated messaging responses. So in addition to adhering to these due dates, Facebook and Google also recommend that you provide an initial response, just an acknowledgement, right? So that say you were on this webinar, somebody were to message you about a service appointment, you immediately send back a message to say, hey, Phil, thanks for messaging us. Currently busy, but we're going to get back to you as soon as we can. So our new beta program can automatically send those messages and acknowledgements back to the customer. So that's another thing where if you're interested in participating in that beta program or just learning about some of our other beta programs that are available, definitely look in our help center within the platform, and there will be a list of beta programs that you can participate in there.
Oh, that's great. And it's funny, at least the way I always think about the inbox portion of our platform, which again, to some of you might be very new, right? Because it is something that we launched last year and we're constantly adding new features and functionality to. But you've probably heard us talk to you in the past about, well, wouldn't it be great if you managed all of your reviews and social and surveys and in one place? But then when you bought our platform, you'd still have to click on reviews to reply to reviews, click on social to reply to social comments. And the inbox is literally meant to be that single place where you're going in. And that's at least how I conceptualize it when I think about why we built this and the direction we're going with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that because, we understand that your location managers are very busy trying to sell more cars or keep your apartments full or, keep your doctor offices full of appointments and running well. And that social media is not their specialty. So we try to make it as easy as possible for them to know what needs to be taken care of. So that's, I think, the value of the inbox here.
And I think we're going to ask now for the audience to engage with us a little bit. We're gonna launch a poll. So let's just see if I do. There we go. So the idea here is we're really curious what channels you predominantly communicate with your customers on that are outside of kind of the ones that we have in our inbox today. And so we're very eager to understand these channels that you might be interested in potentially in the future for us integrating with or bringing into our platform. And I believe you'll all be able to see these live as they come in. We see a handful of phone, email, WhatsApp. Okay, here we go. Getting some results.
Yeah. I think, just taking a look at the options that are being shown, I'm not surprised that email and phone are up there. I think those are definitely traditional channels. I think more and more customers are starting to move to website chat, right? They're already visiting your website. Maybe they're already looking at vehicles there. And if we're able to create that experience directly on, say, the bottom right of that website, what a great opportunity, right, for them to just engage right then and there. At the very least, one thing I'll mention is we do have a website widget available that's able to collect customer information. So maybe you don't staff a live agent, right? I see very few of us are currently using live agents today, but maybe we just want to get the person's name and phone number, and then we start an SMS conversation with them, right? So that's kind of the precursor to a live website chat. That's something that Reputation can help you support and launch today. And yeah, very interesting that people are still picking up the phone because when I speak with my friends or even my family, right, they always tell me, oh, let me just send them an email, or hopefully they have a live chat. Target in particular, their live chat is fantastic. And I've not called them in the past couple of years, no matter what issue I have. So it's interesting to see that 56% of us are still talking to customers on the phone, and it's definitely the quickest method. So definitely understood. So yeah, thank you so much for this insight. We'll definitely take this into account as we're thinking about what additional sources to start bringing into the inbox. But I think Phil, you had one final idea that you wanted to share with the group here, right?
Well, I was going to jump into something else, but I guess one point that I think we're always trying to strike this balance between where our customers are and where they're trying to talk to us, and then where we want them to talk with us. And sometimes those are different things. So like I was working with someone who ran a call center, and I mean, this doesn't come to us as a surprise when you say it out loud, but they can only manage one live phone conversation at a time, but they can manage like 10 live chat conversations at a time.
Very true.
So, but if you have the type of business where people are calling in, it's like, how do I encourage more of my customers to go the other way where it makes me more efficient? And so those are conversations we love to have, because I think ultimately it helps us strategize better with each of you individually to make sure we're doing the best thing that brings the most value for.
Yes, absolutely. And yeah, I think we're in the technology business, so we love identifying ways that we can help you scale your business or solve problems based on technology. So yeah, definitely have those conversations with us.
So I'm going to grab this new feature launch, and I probably should give some context. So this is all based around integrations. And we've done integrations I've been at Reputation for about 4.5 years. We've always done integrations, whether it's pulling in your location data or triggering requests to go out for reviews or surveys or, any number of different things. And what we've created is what I think the easiest thing to equate it to would be almost like an app store for integrations, which is we're actively going to be developing these out-of-the-box connectors with key pieces of software, parts of your tech stack that you're probably already using day to day, so that we make it significantly easier for you to integrate into and out of our platform. So a couple use cases, at least out of the gate, that we're talking about is pulling in your listing data on a regular cadence from whatever that source of truth is. Triggering those feedback requests, whether it's through your dealer management system or your point of sale system or your CRM system, and basically saying, I want to ask them to fill out a survey, or I want to ask them to write me a review. Anytime we integrate, and this is done automatically, we have better results than if we're manually triggering these things. And so I'm going to show you this really quickly live to give you kind of an idea of this, but think of this as an area of our platform where we're just trying to make these integrations faster and easier as best we can.
Yeah, and on that faster point, Phil, while you're transitioning, just to help the audience contextualize what process this is replacing, previously we would spend weeks, if not a month, working with you to map your, say, Entrada instance over to the reputation platform so that we could know where your resident names were being stored, where the resident phone number was being stored, and this is in the property management space. So rather than you having to tell us, this field maps to this within the reputation platform so that we can then send them a survey request, that's the process that RepConnect replaces. And it allows you to access it self-service, which Phil, I think you're about to show us here.
Yeah, and I'm not going to go too deep on this because you can work with a number of different software providers. There's a number of different ways that these integrations might work, but what you'll see in here is you'll get access to the connectors that exist today, and then of course we want to hear from you when you have important software providers that you use that you would love to see connections in our platform. And then if you work with any of these, this should seem not that unfamiliar to you. You can use your credentials into those systems to kind of set up the integration. I'm going to show you one just really quick. When I click add an integration, we've also built this out so it's a walkthrough of all the individual steps you need to take. A lot of times you don't even need to be the most technical person to essentially come through this. So you can see first step, what template are we going to be sending? Second step, creating automation, mapping. Again, our goal is to make this as easy and as simple as possible. And what we've found since we've released this is, to Timi's point, we've been able to execute on integration significantly faster. So we're starting to do the things we want to do earlier than we were before. And then the other kind of back end piece of this that's a real advantage is we now have a centralized place for these integrations. So if something does break, we know immediately, and we're able to remedy that, which is really important. And anyone who's dealt with data before knows that that's going to happen, and that our ability to recognize it and then remedy the problem as fast as possible is super important.
Yeah, Phil, you said you don't have to be the most technical person to go and set up an integration. Can you just give us an idea of who is the typical user within RepConnect?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because usually we always start with either it's usually like a marketing or a customer experience person who's our main day-to-day contact, and they'll have varying levels of technical expertise. And the real answer is usually it's a simple question. It's like, are you familiar with whatever that system of record is that we're trying to integrate with? And if their answer is like, yeah, I'm in it every day, that person a lot of times can be the one that executes on these integrations. Sometimes the answer is, no, but we have this person who owns that software, and it's literally setting up probably a 30-minute conversation where the first part is just making sure we understand how you use that software. And the second part is just saying, well, these are the 3 or 4 specific things we need to just map or understand about how we do the integration. And then they can step by step go through and build this on their own. It's really something where we've gotten that 30-minute conversation is enough for us to go forward with these integrations.
Got it. Yeah. In a couple of instances, I've found that the vendor manager is often the person that we ultimately speak with because they are familiar with who the points of contact are for people who understand how that CRM is used, how that CRM is implemented. So for those of you who are considering setting up a review request integration, Phil, you also mentioned a listing source of truth integration or a customer contact data sync integration. Think about who typically manages those relationships with those CRMs, who pays the bill to them, right? Because chances are they can point you to the right person. And I believe we have a poll, right, that we wanted to put out, just asking the audience, what kind of connection would be the most valuable for you? So yeah, Phil, if you want to go ahead and share that. So yeah, the couple of ideas that we have implemented so far are around business listings and how we can automate pulling any updates to, say, your location name, or maybe you're changing your hours of operation, pulling them into the platform. I think many of us are familiar with the review requesting. So after somebody has made a purchase, sending out that review request to them automatically, maybe a couple hours later. And then also customer contact data sync. So when you do have new customer information, making that available in the reputation platform, so that when you're responding to your private messages on Facebook, right? Maybe we're able to tie that Facebook user back to the customer contact, and then update their name or email. So I think definitely a lot of interest in review and feedback requesting, which is great, because I think requesting is such an integral part of building up your online reputation, getting up that review volume, right? And just really improving the reputation that your customers are able to see about your about you on your Google listing.
Timi, I think seeing that there's a decent volume for the customer contact data sync, could you talk a little bit about our point of view about how the reputation platform in the future is going to be managing customer information?
Yeah, absolutely. So we understand that you already have a customer data management platform, right? And we don't want to duplicate that information by any means, because that would cause additional work and additional effort for you to maintain. The way to think about reputation is that we are able to gather up all of the public mentions and public contacts that people are having with you. And so let's join and supplement your data with some of that information. So an example is if you have a customer who has purchased a car from you in the past and you know what their email address is, right? And then somebody on your Twitter page, right, also happens to write a comment, or maybe they send you a DM. If you're able to identify that Twitter user is the same user as the person with that email address, then you're able to create a much more complete record that gives you an overall view of what customer Jesse was able to do. First, you understand when they came in for service, when they came in to purchase their car, and you also understand their overall sentiment of how they are talking about your business online. So that's how we're looking to utilize that customer contact data sync. So you get that single source of truth in the CRM that you're already using, that's now supplemented with that external data.
That's great. Thanks, Timi.
Yeah.
And there's one, I'm going to call this a teaser that I'm going to throw out there for everyone. And then I know we want to get to the questions with the remaining time that we have.
Yes, we have a lot of questions. So yeah.
We have, for a handful of years, had a little bit of competitive data in our platform. And what I mean by that is if you were one of our customers and you were interested in seeing what your star rating was or your reputation score was versus competitors that you defined, we could give you a report that showed that. And that's valuable, but the way I always said that's the scoreboard view, but most people want to know the why behind the score. And so something that we're launching very soon, you're probably going to see a press release behind this and some additional information coming in the coming weeks, is what we're calling competitive intelligence. And the idea is to give you access to not only the scoreboard view, but all the things that we do with your own feedback data, break it down into the categories, subcategory themes, so you can know your strengths and weaknesses, break down your rep score into the individual components and see the trends so you can see what you're getting better and worse at. We will now do that with your competitors. And this is exciting. I think this is really something where you could look at this and say, okay, I'm now showing that my star rating is below one of my biggest competitors. What are they doing better than me, at least in the public feedback arena? And you could see, let's say you're in property management. Well, their rental office feedback is significantly better than mine. Should I be identifying which of my locations have the lowest rental office feedback and start to execute changes to make sure we're improving that? Or the flip side might be maybe your amenities are higher rated than your competitors' amenities. You could start to run paid search campaigns or content campaigns around your amenities are higher rated than competitor A, B, or C. So we're just really excited there's a ton of possibilities with what we're going to be able to do with this information. And just to clarify, what we're talking about is giving you insights into the publicly available data for your competitors. There's no, proprietary feedback information that exists in any of these. It's literally what reviews are out there. With our social listening capabilities, we can start to listen for brand mentions for various companies and things of that nature.
Yeah. On that note, Phil, one of the questions that I saw come in was around how social listening for competitors, which I'm guessing this customer already utilizes our social listening offering to monitor how their competitors are doing. How is that different from what you just spoke about?
Yeah, I think the simple way to think about it is what I mostly talked about there, when you think about breaking it down by location or breaking it down by comment themes, that's a lot of times coming at an aggregate of all the location level feedback that lives in reviews. So that's one data set that we can learn things about our competitors, is all the public reviews out there. What's interesting about social listening is this introduces this concept of, well, they're not someone writing something specifically about a business on their Google profile or their Facebook. This literally could just be me tweeting, I Target, or I love Target, to use your Target example earlier. And so you start to aggregate those comments, which there's usually a different kind of perspective behind that customer making the comment in that way. And then what's interesting is when you put those together, it becomes really powerful, because in that channel, they're talking about them this way. In the other channel, they're talking about them maybe different.
Yeah. I think the best metaphor is like what people are saying to your face on your pages versus what people are saying behind your back about you, right? Yeah. And those behind your back channels you may not have visibility into, because there are so many pages on the internet where people can write their complaints or voice their compliments, and you might not know about them. So yeah, I think bringing them together in this single offering is very smart.
And, honestly, I think that what we're really excited about is to engage in conversations with our customers who are interested in this type of intelligence and try to figure out what would be most worthwhile for you to learn about your competitors if you had this data living inside the Reputation platform. And we think we have some pretty good ideas on the best ways to do that, but we always learn probably the most important lessons when we directly speak with customers and they give us their point of view on this type of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I think that brings us to our question section, which, I just hopped right into. But yeah, we wanted to see if, there were any additional questions that the audience wanted to ask. So definitely click on that Q&A section or that tab on the right-hand side and send in your questions. I'm going to try to pick from the many that we already got so far. So I think, Phil, the first question kind of brings us back to that previous webinar that we had of, you showed us, some new fields that Apple has now introduced. Should I be paying more attention to Google or Apple? What's your take on, where I should be dedicating my energy when it comes to business listings?
Yeah, I feel like this has been a common question I've been doing the business listings thing for about 9 years now. And it used to be that the concept was as many sites as you can possibly get your data on, go do it, right? And
more is better, right?
And I think the theme the last handful of years is it's really consolidated down to where there are these small handful of really important sites where the majority of us go to get our information. Yeah. Google remains the biggest. And in our mind, the one that if you could only pick one, well, go do the Google thing the right way and make sure that you're maximizing that opportunity. Okay. Apple, though, has become so important, not surprisingly, because a lot of us have iPhones, and Apple Maps is a out-of-the-box application that exists on your phone, right? It's a default mapping application. Same with Apple CarPlay is getting a ton of additional exposure, and all kinds of new cars will have Apple CarPlay in it when you buy it, things like that. So just ensuring that Apple is on your list of the handful of sites that really matter is really important. And it's incumbent on us as a provider of this software, this service, to basically make it as easy as possible to say, well, update all the data that you have, and then we're going to go send it to the sites that matter. And,
Right.
you know, that's kind of our point of view. We don't want to always add work to your plate, right? If we can avoid it, we're trying to make it all stem from the same data set.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for that. Because, yeah, I think when we start hearing so much more about Apple, right, it's easy to, you know, just divert your attention over to it. But I think that reminder that Google is still the most important and prominent network is helpful. So thank you for that. Yeah, I think there was, oh, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, this one feels like it's a you one, Timi. So
Okay.
it's related to the social tagging, I think, but it's kind of a step up, which is when you think about the metrics that you see customers or just social media teams that do this really well, what metrics are they paying attention to make sure it's having real business value?
Yeah, that's such a great question. And it's funny because I was just editing a blog article that we're going to be publishing soon that provides you with an overview of what the social media metrics are. And as I was doing some research to put that blog article together, I realized the number of metrics has just blown up over the years. When we first started as a social media company, the basics like engagement, comments, shares, which are still there, were really the only ones that people were measuring and looking at in order to inform their strategy. But now, you know, there's reactions, right? And then within reactions, there's, I think, 6 types of reactions that you can have on Facebook in addition to a like. So yeah, my recommendation is to focus on really those core metrics that have always been around. Number of comments, number of shares, and number of engagements that you're getting on your posts. And it's because that tells you that your audience is an authentic audience, meaning they are there to actually engage with your content. They are real customers. They have a vested interest in the industry that you are in, whether it's purchasing cars or leasing an apartment. And they are there to, you know, support your business. So I think that's really the telltale sign that your content is resonating with your customers when those metrics are actually, you know, trending upwards towards the right. So that would be my recommendation.
That's great. I'm sorry, I'm just reading a couple other questions.
Yeah.
I know we're running low on time, so I want to make sure that we get a chance here. So there was one question that came through that I think, Timi, you'd be good to answer this one too, which is basically if there's the term they used was confused reviews. Basically, the comment indicates they had a great experience, but they gave you a 1 star.
Yeah.
How do we recommend you handle that, like, very specific scenario?
Yeah, I think, first of all, the fact that you are noting these reviews is fantastic because it's not representative of the actual customer experience that you're providing. So you want to amend it. My recommendation is to reach back out to the customer, respond, and, you know, offer them to take it offline. So give them an email address or a phone number that they can reach out to so that they can actually get in touch with you and, you know, talk through the experience. The worst experience, I would say, that I would not recommend is for you to hash it out publicly, whether it's on Google or on Facebook, so that the world can see it, right? This is a matter that you want to just handle privately with the customer. And, you know, there may be times where you are able to actually find the customer directly in your CRM. Maybe they use the same name. You might already have their contact information. So just proactively reach out to them, right? Amend the matter. And then at the end of that conversation, once you've, you know, made sure that they are happy with it, you can just let them know, hey, I noticed that you published a review publicly on Google. I would really appreciate if you took the time to, you know, update that review so that it's reflective of the actual experience that you had. So that's my recommendation in how to handle it. The inbox is going to be the new place where you are able to, you know, see when all of these updates come in. So that's definitely like the forum that I would recommend handling it in.
Yeah, and just to kind of tie a bow on it, the customer that left that review ultimately needs to, if they need to choose if they want to make a change to that review, let's say on Google, and when they make the change, our platform will obviously update to reflect that change and also show you historically that it once was something else and they went and amended it. So our goal is to track as much of that as we can.
Exactly, exactly. So thank you so much for all of your questions. I think, Phil, we are just about out of time. So I think it's the perfect time to, say thank you to everybody. We really appreciate you spending the last 45 minutes with us to hear about some of the exciting innovations and solutions that Reputation has been working on. And we really hope that you heard about something today that can help spring your business forward as we move into, the warmer months of the year now. So if you would like some additional information on anything that you heard today, first, reach out to your customer success manager, reference this webinar and bring up any of the items that you're interested in to your success manager, and they're more than happy to get you set up. And finally, for those of you who are new to Reputation, click that button up above for a demo, so that we will reach out to you as soon as we can, and get in touch. So again, thank you so much and have a great day.
Thanks, everyone.